Let's get started. Today we're going to be talking about goal setting, and we're going to do this live with Rosen. Sorry, I screwed that crap up. And Kent Brown. And today Haley Johnson is representing RedX. Haley, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's get right into it, guys. I'm going to go with Kent first, Joe, because you and I felt like we just talked like last week or a week and a half or so.
Yeah.
And it was kind of along these lines, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So let's see what Kent's got. Kent, let's go with you first. First, do a quick intro. Let us know where you're from, and then I'll go ahead and ask you the question.
Yeah, Kent Brown out of Salt Lake, Utah, Salt Lake, Provo area. So any clients coming up here, 801-592-3135.
I love it.
And work for a small local company called Summit Realty, small but powerful. So that's what we got going on here.
Very good, Kent. All right, well, let me ask you a question first, then we'll go to everybody else. We're at the beginning of January. Some people still haven't had a chance to outline and plan their goals here. What would be the first thing you tell them in saying, hey, look, if you haven't gotten to it, start with this first? What would that look like?
So if you haven't gotten to it, I would say the first thing that I would recommend is find out the number of transactions you want to do, and then the why you want to do that. Once you know those two things, it's pretty easy to figure everything else out on top of that. But that's where I always start. And then
so you start with transactions and then go reverse, like 12 months, then go into more granular. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So I break it down into 90-day cycles. Because honestly, truthfully, success happens in 90 days. I'm a big believer in that. So whatever you do for 90 days consistently, you should see success with. If not, throw it away, go into something else.
I like that. Can we go into a little bit more on the 90-day cycle?
Yeah.
What does that look like for you on the business side of it?
So I wish I would have put this up. So here's how I truthfully just set my goals. One thing that I've figured out is all of us are kind of ingrained to pay our bills. Would you agree with that? If we have our bills, we usually make that number, all of us in sales. So my formula is pretty simple. I take my monthly bills that I have now, then I take my new monthly bills that I'm going to have with my goals. You following me there?
Yeah.
So add those two numbers together. Then I total that out. My average commission check, divide that by my average commission check. And that tells me how many closings that I'm going to need to pay for my bills and my new bills.
Oh, okay. And then do you add a certain amount to that? So be like, hey, this is my play money. This is for whatever else I want.
Yeah. Yep. So I'll turn this around. This is my goal board.
I like it.
Right here. So that has a total number of transactions I need, how many contacts I need to work, days I need to work. So that's for January.
Nice.
I break it up monthly, daily, monthly, quarterly, annually.
Oh, I love that, man. I love that a lot. All right, I'm going to go to Joe. Joe, I saw you nodding your head when he was talking about a 90-day cycle. Is that how it works with you too?
Yeah, I never really thought about it like that, but honestly, everything we build is in 90-day cycles too, right? We're looking at quarters. So, yeah, I mean, the simple answer is yes. We do focus all of our goals. We break them down into dailies, and we really focus on weeklies too. So when we do, as a team, we do Monday, Wednesday, Friday huddles, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays are our training days. On those days, those huddles, those Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, we always look at different goals. So every Monday, we're talking about how many appointments have we gotten, and we look at the average meetings or the appointments that we have normally versus what did we do in the last 7 days, right? So that way we know if we're doing better, the same, or worse. And then, we'll look at different goals on Wednesday, different on Friday, but we're usually looking at weekly, but that's feeding into the big quarterly goals. So yeah, we're talking quarterly goals too.
Okay. And Joe, can you do a quick intro as to where you're from, your business, and how we can send you referrals?
Yeah, absolutely. Joe Rosen, and I'm down in sunny South Florida in Port St. Lucie here on the Treasure Coast, going as far south as northern Martin County and all the way up to Fort Pierce.
I love that. All right, Joe, I'm going to ask you a slightly different question because Kent answered it more on the business side, right? And obviously we're all in real estate and we're running businesses, but what about if I say, Joe, I want to go deeper into setting a goal for, and you and I touched on this towards the end of it.
Yeah.
Last time, personal. I want to go deeper on the personal side of this. What would that look like? Because then at that point, does the 90-day cycle still apply, or which route do we take, right? And where do we start?
Yeah. So I think Kent made a great point with, every goal, you got to kind of start with two things. Number one is the transactions you want to do. Number two is your why, right? When it comes to personal, business, finance, relationships, whatever it is, that why is your anchor, right? Otherwise, what you're going to be saying is, I want to do 50 closings and I would love to have a great relationship, which is, in my opinion, a horrible word. It should be objective. I want to save a ton of money in my retirement account. But really, as soon as you see convenience and ease and you're just not feeling the motivation that day, if you don't have that why in front of you, if you don't have those goals written out, if you don't know what it is that's anchoring you, you're going to get away from that, because ease and simplicity and comfort and all those great things, they're going to grab your attention. They grab all of our attention. So you really need those things right in front of your face. And again, as cold and calculated as it sounds, I don't care if you're talking about improving your relationships with your kids, with your wife, with your finances, your health, going to the gym, eating right, whatever it is. I really feel like you got to have written out goals, and you got to be focusing on that, whether it's weekly, monthly, quarterly. I don't know how important that is, but when you're talking about massive growth, right, it's really easy to get 200 phone calls done today. I can do that. But to think of 20, 30, 40, 50,000 calls, dude, that's a mountain that nobody can really fathom. Like that's just too much. It's a big old mountain, right? So when you start talking about bigger chunks like quarters, what that does is allow you to talk about more exciting, thrilling, fulfilling numbers that, even though they sound a little overwhelming, they definitely can be met.
I like that, man. I like that. And I love that we went back to the why, because that's
important. It's the most important.
Right.
I think the goal is your why, and your business plan is your how. That's how you look at it.
Dude, that's so that's small, but that's pretty big, right? I like that.
Yeah. So the goal is the why, business plan is the how.
I like that. The why and the how, man. I think that might be Simon Sinek's next book there. You want to text him? Ken?
Yeah. You want to shoot me his number?
I'll send it to you right now. Hold on. Haley, what do you think on both of what Kent and Joe said? Anything you want to add in regards to goal planning?
Yeah, sure. So a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, Joe was on the RedX podcast where I talked about these things with him. And he mentioned something that he writes down his why every single day in his notebook, or where he puts his goals, and all of the goals every single day. So it's always on the top of his mind, which I love, because if you're not remembering your why and your purpose, then like you said, you'll burn out and your motivation will be lost. So I really like that. I just wanted to draw attention to that.
That's
I
so
love that
good.
anchor comment.
What was that, Kent?
I love the anchor comment. The why is your anchor. I've never thought of it that way.
Yeah, well, dude, it goes well with what you said. And if anybody's writing anything down right now, I mean, the why is your anchor and the how is your business plan, right? Unless any of you want to drop some more nuggets there that I can write down. I love that one.
Writing a book of one-liners here.
Should we just stay with that? That was pretty good.
So I'm a big quotes guy. So one thing that I think it was Mike Ferry that said this. He said, are my habits meeting my goals, or are my goals meeting my habits? So that's something I think about every single day. Whenever I'm doing something, I break it out. I'm very simple in that I break out my day into chunks as well. So the way I break out the year, I also break out my day. Anything before I do before noon is really strict. And if I break away from that, I ask myself, okay, am I doing this because it's easier than prospecting? Yep. Or am I doing this because it's going to help me meet my goals?
I like those questions, because then you start categorizing and prioritizing your day that way based on those questions. So I have a question for any one of you, if you want to take this one. So let's say you've outlined this whole year and you've broken it down, right? Like you were talking about, Kent, and quarterly, Joe. How do you fit that into your day? Like, how do you prioritize what you do when? Because that's a big challenge for most people. You've seen their calendars. It's like almost non-existent at times, right?
Yeah. I think time blocking is, for me, absolutely critical. And I've noticed too, even though I'm the guy who's always hammered away in everything I do, I don't always do it. And on the days I don't do it, I'm making up these numbers, but I'm probably 70% as productive as I am on the days where I've got it all laid out. Because when it's laid out, I just show up, I look at it, and I execute. I just do what I'm the employee. I'm not the CEO. When you're planning it, you're the CEO. But I think too many of us spend too much time in that CEO slot, and we're thinking, but we're not executing. And I think a lot of us need to get back into that employee slot a little bit more, which it's tough, because you as the CEO or the boss, you need to tell yourself, get to work, employee you. And it's just not happening a lot with a lot of people. So really time blocking is important. And then if anybody, man, if you haven't read this book, you're the one in real estate who hasn't. The One Thing by Gary Keller, man, will really drive home the idea of prioritization. And I forget exactly how he says it, but if there were 10 things you could do in a day that would really benefit you the most, what would they be? And you create that list. And then you say, okay, what if it was only 5 of those 10? What would that be? Okay, what if it was only 1 of those 5? What would that be, right? And I'll give a shout out to RedX here. I would say for almost every single agent, at least average and starting out agents, that one thing should almost always be prospecting, man.
And it comes down to, what happens if we don't prospect or lead generate in our business?
That's the blood. Yeah.
Nothing happens.
Dead. You're dead.
You complain and then you get out of the business. That's what happens.
Yep. You're the 87%.
If you really want to, I think that's a good point. I think, so when I first got into business, I got a coach, everything else. He said, I just want you to work hard until noon. If you don't have anything afternoon, go home. I did that for about 1 month, and now I've never done it since because I can't. If you lead generate until noon, you've got nothing going on in the afternoon, don't create crap, go home, be with your kids. That's my thoughts, but promise you'll only be able to do it for a few weeks until you'll be like, oh, I have business coming in my eyeballs.
Yeah.
That's very true, man. That's very true. There's a great question here. And if you guys want to add anything in between, go right ahead. But it's by anonymous, but it's a great question. It says, my goal is 24 transactions from prospecting this year. How many calls do you think I should make each day to achieve that goal? Which one of you want to break this one down? Because
I have a perfect.
All right, can you first?
Perfect, but this is how I break it down. So if you're using a single line dialer, think of it this way, 10 calls per 1 contact. If you're using a single line dialer, you should get anywhere between 6 and 10 contacts an hour. Triple line dialer, triple that number. So here's how I break it down. My COI and SOI is going to give me 10% return. I have 300 people in my SOI. I'm going to get 30 deals from those people. My goal is 52, so now I need to find 22 more transactions. So I need 22 contacts a day, 5 days per week to make that up. Does that make sense?
I have a question. Is that pretty, like, you can replicate that within any business, anyone, any area, and that's about what you'll get? Or do they need to
Yeah,
make that
I mean,
more
the
specific?
more experience you have, the lower that number is. But yeah,
You
that's
made a good point there, Haley. He also specified as to what type of contacts those were, because depending on who you're calling too, like if we call our sphere and our past clients, we're going to have a bigger return on those calls than if we're just calling just listed, just sold, expireds, for sale by owners, right? They all have
Right.
different, slightly different ratios. So good point. Kent or Joe, what would you recommend that they focus on calling? Would it be sphere? Let's say they're newer. Would it be sphere? Would it be for sale by owners, expire? What would you say? Hey, go on this and you'll have a better return.
So I personally think, and I think if you asked 100 agents who've done 50 deals, 99 of them would agree that your sphere of influence is the best. You know those people, you got relationships. They're the hottest relationships, the most trusting relationships that you've got. It's the easiest business. But I also see people who say, that's my marketing plan. If your sphere of influence is enormous and it's 500 people, guess what? You get a triple dialer, you can call them all in about 3 days. So what the heck are you doing the other 362? You should be doing way more than your doggone sphere of influence. That's not even close to enough. It's the best, but it is not even close to enough. So for me, I've done it all. When I started out, I did really well with FSBOs and expireds. And I'm glad I started that way, but man, it was a grind, because those people, they hate realtors. They don't want to pay you a solid commission. So everything you're getting is at a lower commission, or you're just not getting them at as high a rate as you would normally get them. They don't want to price it right. They don't want to stage their home. They don't want to do pre-listing inspections. They don't want to do a lot of things. And all it takes, because they got 20, 30 studs coming after them saying, I'll list your house. All it takes is one of those guys to come in with a low commission, a high pricing. You don't need to do anything to your house. And that's what they've got in their brain, right? So for me, when I started doing circle prospecting with you guys, Haley, it was a whole new world. The conversion rates are lower because they're not hot, right? An expired, a FSBO, they're hot. Circle prospecting, they're not hot. But when you get those people and you cultivate those leads over time, I'm getting 7%, 6.5% listings all the time. I'm getting my $495 brokerage fee every single time. I'm getting it staged. I'm getting them with the professional photography, pre-listing photos going on. Those listings are set up exactly the way I want them, and I got no competition on 90% of them. So for me, circle prospecting just cannot be beat.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it depends on, like I've heard a lot of people in their lead stack, they start out with the expireds because they're hot and it's exciting. They're people that are interested in selling, and then they go to circle prospecting or even for rent by owners because they're a lot less angry and more willing to talk to you, and then end with your sphere of influence, which is like the best people to talk to.
No, that's true. There's a great question here as well. What triple line caller system do they use, Gail? Gail's asking that.
I use RedX's triple line dialer.
Oh man, you're putting me on the spot. Haley, I'm cheating on you. I got a Mojo dialer, but I have used the RedX dialer and it's amazing.
And we have both, so but we gravitate towards RedX as well. Haley, you're not dialing, but you work with RedX, so go with RedX, right?
Right.
Plus we got a good deal, so.
And it's all in the same system. If you're already in Vortex, then our dialer is already in there for you. So
there you go. There you go. All right, let's go a little bit deeper into goal setting here. And let's not leave out the personal. I want to also talk about the personal goal setting. So like the weight loss, the becoming a better leader, working with the family more, like deeper, right? Along with, growing the bottom line, right? Making more money, because that's important, right? Let's take a look at both. So where would you start if you're going on a day-to-day basis and saying, this is what the perfect day would look like to start growing a business and start making yourself a better version of yourself? So now in essence, you're working on your business, but you're also working on yourself, self, family, right? Business. What does that day look like to you on a daily basis? Do you have a routine that you can share so that people can be like, oh, I got it. This looks good.
Yeah, I'll definitely share my routine, but I will say too, I don't know that there's a right answer here, right? I think some people can do very little family time, and both they and their family are fine with that, right? Other people have to spend a lot of time with their family. That's just what they need internally, or their family needs it, or both of them. So take what I say with a grain of salt here. But for me, I'm obsessed with this stuff, man. I'm obsessed with this stuff. And luckily, my wife is an amazing mother, so my kids get great parenting from her. So I'm up at 5:30 every single morning, and it's me time until 6:45. So I get up, I go to the gym, do the gym thing until 6:45. I purposely, because I would sit there and mess around on Facebook, answering emails, DMs, all that stuff, and all of a sudden it'd be 7:45 and I'd lose an hour. So I started a group on Facebook called the 7-Eleven Accountability Group. So I get in there every morning, Monday through Friday. It's live, it's me, and I'm giving you something, some nugget to improve your mentality, something tangible, a system, a process, something. And really, although it does benefit all those people, it's for me. It's for me to get off my butt, get to work. That's my first appointment with myself.
Joe, you wake up at 5, then you go to work out. Do you plan ahead your workouts, or do you just show up and work out whatever you want?
The day before they're planned. Everything is planned the day before. So when I show up, it's laying right here. And I purposely I write it out because I want to take notes all over it, right? And it's just quicker to do it if I got it written out. So I purposely do that. And I use the one I'm writing overall today. I'm going to use that to create tomorrow's. I'm going to see that I spent too much time on this or not enough time on this. I got to add this person to whatever list. So I use those notes. But yeah, the workouts are included in that. Even my family time. So then once I'm done with my 7-Eleven, all the way until 6 p.m., it's just straight work, right? And then from 6 to 7 o'clock p.m., I spend every single night with my family. That's family time. I shut everything off. The phone doesn't come out of the office, nothing. And it's just family time from 6 to 7. And then from 7 until 10, go ahead.
I want to go back to what happens during work. Do you have a structure for when you get to work, you start looking at your email, then you do paperwork, or do you go into calls, call the team? What does that look like?
Yeah, so once I get done with my 7-Eleven, it's about 7:20, 7:25. It's pretty short. It's admin until about 8:30, depending upon the day and what I've got, right? So catching up on emails, text, DMs, Instagram, all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've also got a never-ending list of admin tasks that I want to get done. We talk about the quadrant all the time, right? I think it was a Stephen Covey quadrant of, is it important? Is it not important? Does it have a deadline? Does it not have a deadline? The things that have deadlines, we all get done. It's the things that don't have deadlines, but are extremely beneficial. That list is never ending for me. So I'm constantly prioritizing that list. And in the morning, if I get all my admin caught up, I start working on that list, right? From 8:30 to 10:30, that's call time. It's just prospecting. I'm sitting inside my CRM. I'm sitting on RedX, and we're getting those calls done. Once that's done, at 11 o'clock every single day, I'm with my team. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it's just 10 quick minutes for a huddle. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's training for 45 minutes to an hour. So at 10:30, I start pulling out all my charts to look at, okay, what do we do on Monday? What are we doing on Tuesday? What are we doing? Because all that's planned out. My training is planned out for 3 months. So I know exactly what I'm doing. When I show up, I got 30 minutes to prepare for it, and I do it. Once that's done, I'm trying to fill my whole afternoon and evening with appointments. And I'm either focused on seller appointments are the best, then it's buyer appointments. Then we've got what I call my all-star team appointments. I've got the biggest networking group in Port St. Lucie. I built it. We built it a little over a year ago. And the way I built that was I said, okay, if I don't have any appointments, I'm going to go find an electrician. And to find the best electrician, I'm going to call 10 electricians, and we're going to go to lunch, coffee, whatever it is. And I'm going to pick the best 1 or 2, and that's who I'm going to get into my circle, right? And then next week, it's going to be financial advisors. And then the week after, it's going to be somebody who makes promotional mugs and T-shirts and hats. And I just keep doing that. So I'm constantly in an appointment with someone who's either selling, buying, or building up my all-star team. And I can't tell you how many people, you're not even thinking about that, but you're sitting down with a plumber thinking, is this guy going to be my plumber? And he says, hey, my aunt needs to sell her place. Can I give her your card? Hell yeah, you can give her my card. I'll give her a phone call. Yeah. So I'm trying to stay in front of people no matter what, from basically noon until 4 or 5 o'clock. Once I get done with that, then I'll come back. I'll start working on my videos. I do a lot of Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And then again, 6 to 7 o'clock is family time. And then from 7 till 9, that's more admin or social media time. I'll also try to do my admin. That's when I'm creating tomorrow's schedule. And then from 9 to 10 o'clock, that's wife time.
All right. At 11, I noticed that you're meeting your team. Why 11? What's the philosophy behind that?
Yeah. So I have team members all over the US, right? So I had to think about West Coast time. I'm on the East Coast. So I purposely picked 11 o'clock. So if you're on the West Coast and you're on my team, because everything we do is through Zoom, you can hop on at 8 a.m. your time, which is 11 our time, and we can do that. So that's why I picked that.
Oh, good. Good, man. Good. All right. Kent, you want to go, or you want to get some questions going and then go?
I just to plug in for Joe, man, that guy, his 7-Eleven group, accountability group, I'm actually in that. And if I'm ever dragging my feet, Joe's got energy for everybody on this planet.
I appreciate it, man.
Joe, is it a Facebook group that we can join, or what is that?
Yeah, it's 7-Eleven, just like the time, right? With a colon in there. Accountability group.
It's great.
Check that out. 7-Eleven accountability group. All right, let's go to some questions. And then Ken, I'd like to know your outline for the day as well.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to start with the top here. Anonymous has another question. Other than prospecting calls, what lead gen activities should I work into daily schedule to achieve my yearly goals?
Man, I think Joe just answered that.
Yeah, I think Joe did just answer that. Joe, you want to add anything else to what you already said?
Yeah, I mean, when I take on a new team member, I always tell them I want you to have 3 to 4 pillars of prospecting. I'm going to force one on you, and that's RedX circle prospecting because I know it works. But the other 2 to 3, I learned this in the Army too. I might want you to get promoted. I might want you to be the soldier of the month. I might want you to do all these great things, but if you don't give a damn about those things, you're not going to do them. So it doesn't matter, right? So with the other 2 to 3 pillars, even though I'm dictating the one, I kind of want you to buy into the other ones. So I'm going to tell you what I think works best, but I'd way rather you do something that's 3rd, 4th, 5th best, but you're actually going to do it and do it with some passion, than giving you the 2nd best thing for that 2nd pillar and you just don't care for it, right? So having that passion behind it is super, super important. Anything will work, man. They all have different conversion rates, but anything will work. But you got to show up and you got to have some passion. So I'll give you mine. Networking group. I got a networking group every single Tuesday. And following up with that is enormous. And that's kind of morphed into Facebook too, which is another pillar of mine, not just Facebook, but all of social media. I'm trying to put out at least 1 or 2 Facebook posts a day. I'm trying to put multiple stories up a day, at least 2 YouTube videos a week, at least 1 Instagram post, which I fail horribly with Instagram. But all that stuff, you got to stay consistent. The more consistent you are. And now I'm doing Google posts every single day. And I didn't even know that was a thing until 6 months ago. So we're building that up and we're starting to get calls off of Google. And it's really nice because they're all organic, which is great. So between the social media, the networking group, and circle prospecting, that's everything I'm doing. If somebody else wants to do something else, the next best thing conversion rate wise would be door knocking, in my opinion. It's not as quick as calling. You're going to have a little bit higher conversion ratios. It's just not as quick. But now you got to deal with weather and driving. And here in Florida, the best neighborhoods are all behind closed gates. So now I'm in the average and below average neighborhoods. So again, man, Haley, I feel like I got to get my RedX hat on here. I just love you guys.
Joe, that was a good answer, man. I love that. So can you go a little bit more into what you're doing on Google that you're trying to post daily on?
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, here's a little pitch for myself. You go to that 7-Eleven group, get in there, look at today's live video, and that's exactly what I talked about, right? I probably got it sitting right here. So what I did, my team manager does the posts. It takes 5-10 minutes a day. It's not a big deal. And really what you're working for, it's different than Facebook. With Facebook, I'm trying to put out an ad that grabs your attention. It's got to have the right words. It's got to be short and to the point. If I write a paragraph, I'm going to lose you. It's got to have something sexy, right? It's got to have a picture or a video, and it's got to really grab your attention. It's got to sell that message. On Google, I care about the message, really not a lot at all. What I care about is saying all the right words that the algorithms are going to grab onto when you're doing a specific search. So in order to eliminate a lot of time thinking, what we've done is we've said, okay, we do it Monday through Friday. On Mondays, we're going to talk about new listings or price reductions. On Tuesdays, we're going to talk about new listings or price reductions. On Wednesdays, we're going to talk about an offer. All right. And then I've got 6 different offers that we rotate between every 6 weeks. Right. So it might be a free CMA if you give me a call, or free professional photography if you list with us. It's all things that maybe aren't like free photography. Everybody gets free. Well, that's not true. Unfortunately, everybody should be getting free professional photography, but
some people do, they take it on their phones.
While I'm in the mirror. Yeah, with the lights off. But but it's the words that the algorithms are grabbing onto when people are searching, right? And then Thursdays, I talk about the fact that we got new construction open house on Friday. And then I don't even remember what we talk about on Fridays. But the point of that calendar is so you don't have to think. When you get there, you already know the topic. You already know what you got to write. And then we've got a little part on the bottom for my team manager where it's probably 10, 12 words that I said, hey, I want these 10, 12 words in every single ad. So it's probably house, home, realtor, real estate agent, Joe Rosen, South Florida, Treasure Coast, Port St. Lucie, Fort Pierce. It's all the words that I think most people are going to use when they're looking up a realtor in that area. And they don't know me. If they know me, they're going to find me. If they don't know me, what are they going to use? And then no matter what you're putting up, use these words, but use them intelligently. So like if I'm posting a new listing on a Monday and it's built in 1980, you're like, okay, well, how are you using the word new construction? I would say something like this. If you're sick of paying high new construction prices, look at this home. It's got all the great upgrades and refurbishes that you would want in a new construction home, but it's at a fraction of the price. Right? So that way we're getting the same words in there. So the algorithms are grabbing onto them. But it looks professional.
Makes sense, dude. I like that. All right. Amanda Smith has a question. Aside from affirmations, how do you stay motivated when you're circle prospecting 5 days a week without any clients to work with right now? Solid question. That's a mindset question.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kent.
So I don't know that I necessarily do affirmations. I would say if you're don't have any clients to look at your bank account, and that'll motivate you enough, probably. I mean,
yeah,
that's pretty motivating for me. That being said, I think that with any habit, there's an identity shift. Talked about that a little bit. If you don't identify as something, then you're not going to be that something.
I love that.
I identify as an appointment setter. So if I don't set an appointment a day, I'm not fulfilling my identity. And that's just kind of how it is. I'll give you an example. And this was kind of the only thing I took away from this hunt. I went chucker hunting in the hills of Utah last week. And my buddy had a bird dog. And that bird dog, we walked 5 miles. That bird dog ran 19 miles. And then my buddy went out the next day and did it again. I was like, man, how the freak does that dog run 19 miles a day? But that's its identity. That's what it lives for. As a real estate agent, your identity, your livelihood is appointments. Like if you're not going on appointments, you're fish in the water. So if you're not identifying as that, make that switch and you'll start setting appointments every day. So that should be your affirmation. I am an appointment setter. I set one solid appointment every day.
That's good advice on that. And Amanda, I would add to that in regards to those affirmations, it's only one piece of a bigger circle that you need to be doing. But affirmations can definitely get you started in that direction. Just morph them into who you want to become, right? Use those affirmations to say things like Kent was saying, right? You're an appointment setter. This is what you want to do. This is what you're amazing at, and have it revolve around the things that you're lacking in the business. So use that to just make a better form of yourself. So good addition on that, Kent. Marissa's got a question here. What's up, Marissa? What neighborhoods do you recommend we circle prospect, and what filters do we use? It's a good question. I don't know the answer to that one. Haley? I want to go to Haley, maybe.
Oh, that's definitely, I think, more of a question for Joe or Kent, who actually does the circle prospecting.
I just gave a video on this one too, so I'll go off on this one.
You're on fire. Go.
This is literally exactly how I teach my guys to do this, right? When you're starting out, which neighborhoods am I going to start calling? You own it. That's the cool thing about prospecting. When a house pops up expired, right? You look today and there's 3 houses expired. One's 18 minutes this way, one's 24 minutes this way, and thank God this one's only 2 minutes this way, right? That's awesome, great. That's where your day is gonna be unless you get them on the phone, right? You gotta drive to these or mail to these or whatever it is. When you're circle prospecting, you own it. So I say, hey, if this is where you live and this is where you office, draw a little oval around that. And that's where you want to be, man. You want to be within 5-10 minutes, all that stuff, because you own it. You want all your listings, all your appointments, all your buyers, all your showings, everything that you control to be in that little sphere, that little area. Now, you're going to get a referral that's outside of that, and you're going to get something every once in a while that's outside on this side. That's great. That's fine. Take it and go with it. But for the stuff you control, you want it close to you, so you're limiting that drive time, man. I want to get to more appointments every single day, and I want to get back home so I can get more of that admin I'm behind on, right? So number one, you want to stay close. Number two, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the MLS. I'm going to look at the last 12 months, and I'm going to say, okay, what has sold in the last 12 months? And when I pull that up, I'll tell you, in this area, the average price is about $250, $260. So for me, I kind of want to focus on that $240 or higher, just a hair below average, but I really don't want to work with the 150s and the 200s and the 220s. Again, would I take one? Sure, I'll take a listing, but I'm not going to focus my time and energy on that. So I'm looking at areas that are roughly average priced or higher. I want to make sure that I'm not looking at new construction. Those guys have reps already that they're working with. That's a whole different strategy for going after those. So I don't want, plus if I do call them, who am I going to get, right? I'm going to get Kent, and he's going to say, hey, I'm the realtor. How can I help you? Well, that's not really helpful. I'm looking for the builder, right? So I'm taking new construction out, and then I'm looking at and I'm looking at the visual. I'm not looking at a list. I'm looking at a visual, and I'm looking for little pockets where I see a bunch of houses. Then you're going to see a space where there's maybe 1 or 2 sales, not a lot. And then you're going to see another little pocket, right? Those pockets where you're seeing heavy listings, that's where there's high turnover. I don't know why, and it doesn't matter why. Who cares why? That's the place where people are selling in average or above average areas that are close to your house. Those are the areas I'm going to be calling on.
Great point, Joe. One of the things that I always tell my agents is when you're starting off and choosing a farm, right? Whether it's you're going to dial, you're going to knock, whatever you're going to do, even mail to, make sure that it's a place, if it's not along the way of where your lifestyle leads, right? What you're saying, your circle, that's exactly it. Make sure that you have enough pull that's making you go there if it's way outside your area, right? And so the example that I can give is there was a shift that I had a few years back where I was like, okay, I'm in the LA area, and I've got like multi-million dollar homes, like in a triangle. They're just like slightly away from where I live, right? But I had enough pull to be like, let's just go all into Malibu, right here in Point Doom, right? Where home prices are like 8 million plus. And I was like, let's do it. That was enough of a pull for me to do it daily. But if there's no pull, it's going to fall off, and it's not going to go anywhere. So go with what Joe is saying. Very key.
Yeah, they also asked about filters. So in Vortex, you can set certain filters depending on what you want to prospect specifically. So we just did a podcast with one of our support reps about filters and everything in Vortex, which I will send to Tessa so that she can share it in the comments as well. And that'll answer all of your filter questions.
Love it. Love it. All right. Another question. I feel like we're in a clubhouse session. If you haven't been to clubhouse, this is what it feels like. So I just can't bring them on to talk. Well, I can, but then, we don't know how long that's going to be. Rudy has a good question. I just started using RedX and noticing lots of numbers are DNC. Joe or Kent, during your call sessions, are you calling DNCs?
I'll let Kent take that one.
And can you guys answer that live? Should we do a dark session of this?
I call them. I don't care. I think expireds you have to be a little more careful on. Geo leads really aren't getting hit that hard, so they're not going to be as ticked. I think with expired, you start Googling, how can I get people to stop calling me? And that probably pops up and they get a little more keen to that. Geo leads, they don't really pay attention. I've gotten
a lot of calls. Makes sense.
Out of the hundreds of thousands of phone calls I've made, I'm on the national do not call list 3 times.
Wow. All right. And you make a ton of calls, man. So.
Tons. Yeah, I prospect 4 hours a day, so 3 times isn't bad.
Morning or afternoon? You split it? When do you call?
So I call from 9 to 11 every day, and then from 4 to 6.
Ooh, I like that.
Unless I have appointments. So 4 to 6 is my punishment for not having an appointment in the afternoon.
That was really good. Dude, that should be a t-shirt for you.
I like that.
Your punishment. All right, Spencer's got a question. How have your goal setting strategies changed since you started in real estate? Is there anything you're doing now that you didn't do when you started, but wished you had?
I like that question.
I have something, and then it could kind of maybe prompt you guys. When I first started in the business, nobody told me to make sure that you have a system to be able to take care of everyone that becomes a past client, right? So I didn't touch my past clients for years, right? And then way later on, I realized that was a massive part of the reason why all of these amazing mega agents have a business that's continually growing and recurring. It's like, that's how you make it a career. And I was like, why did nobody tell me that? So I started late on that, Spencer, but that's what I wish I would have had. Joe or Kent?
Yeah, I would say this. Everybody loves the idea of goals, right? Because everybody loves the idea of getting bigger and better and achieving something. So getting people to sit down and write goals is pretty simple. Getting people to follow through with those goals a month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months down the road, that's the challenge. And when you talk to a lot of these people, my opinion, based on what I've seen a lot of, is that a lot of them did a great job of creating the goals. They did not do a great job of setting up a system to constantly review those goals, right? So there's all kinds of things you can do, from posting it in front of you to, like I said, I write mine every single morning. That's one of the reasons. Like, I already know what they are. It's not because I forgot it. It's because if I stop today, 3 weeks from now, I'm not going to remember them the way I want to remember them, right? I want them to be hot in my mind. And that's another reason I mentioned it with our Monday, Wednesday, Friday huddles. We touch on different parts of our goals. Every single Monday, it's one part of it. Every Wednesday, it's another part. And every Friday, it's another part. It's so that we know every Monday, we're constantly going to talk about appointments. Every Wednesday, we're talking about how many new people we've added to our CRM. Every Friday, we're talking about all the big ones, right? How many pendings, how many sales, how much in commission have we made, all that good stuff. So it's constantly being thrown in our face. There's no way you can be on my team and not know what our numbers look like.
I love that. I'm assuming you gradually built up to that.
Oh yeah, that was not built up here. Yeah, I had to fail a bunch to figure that out.
And so can you tell me the idea behind meeting 3 times a week? And yeah, I'm assuming you're meeting at 11, those huddles?
Yeah, so the idea is we're meeting every day, Monday through Friday. But I wanted to get some training in there. So Tuesdays and Thursdays are training days, right? So we just get right to it. The Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays is really more to establish culture. I find that, especially in today's world, man, it's tough to get people into a room for a meeting. And even me, I hate meetings. I hate going to a doggone meeting and you're sitting there for an hour when it should have been 7 minutes if everybody just shut up and think, right?
At most.
At most. Yeah, that's me being conservative. So I really thought, I told them, guys, this is going to be 10 minutes. And at the end of 10 minits, I don't care who's talking. We're shutting it off, right? It's done. Go back to work. I just don't care. Yeah, it's done. So it's two things every single, I've probably got it right here.
Dude, that's so good. Kent, what do you think of that? Like at 7 minutes, we're done. There's like an end button. I have no control over it. My finger just ends it.
See, I love that. I do the same thing because why don't people show up to meetings? Why don't people want appointments?
Exactly.
Because they're too long. So even when you ask for an appointment on the phone, I always say 15 minutes. 15 minutes is my go-to. Even if it's longer, by saying 15 minutes, that objection's taken out of their head that it's going to be a 2-hour kumbaya with some real estate agent trying to create rapport.
Dude, you guys just, thank you for that, by the way. I get to talk to a lot of people, but that just like gave me a little aha. So thank you guys.
That gave me an aha too, because I have this much patience, and when I'm sitting in a listing presentation, you got to be the guy's best friend, right? You'll go on and you're like, dude, how is this? But if you set the expectation up front of 15 minutes, even if it's 45 minutes, it might have been 3 hours, but you just cut it to 45. So that's a good nugget.
You know what? And Ken, tell me how you feel about this. This is why, and so look, I think there are more women in real estate, like 62, 63% versus men. But this is why I think women are more successful in creating these relationships, because they just seem to be more patient when they're in front of a listing, right? And people like you and I, Joe, are just like, can we just finish?
Naturally, they're more nurturing.
Right.
Yeah, that's especially with buyers. Like I am the worst buyer's agent ever because I'm like, hey, it's a house. It's like every other house we're going to go look at. You should buy this house.
So true. It's terrible. I had to learn this whole process of nurturing and being patient. I was like, can we just do this already? Like
caring.
I know. What is this caring thing, Joe? It's so true, Joe.
So I wanted to chime in on one thing with that. If you want a really good way if you're good at making goals and crappy at keeping them, find 5 people that are doing the goals you want to do and start hanging around them. And naturally, you will gravitate towards what you want to accomplish.
Great point.
I think that was the biggest thing I learned is break off friendships and relationships that are anchoring me and find people that I'm anchoring them. And then
I like that. And then look, if you want more accountability, jump into Joe's 7-Eleven accountability. It goes along with what Kent is saying, because it's who you surround yourself with. Yep. Look, not just in person, but virtually, right? What books you read, what you listen to, what you watch, all of that. Yep. So jump into that.
Think about it this way. As humans, the reason why we're scared of rejection is to get kicked because we're scared of getting kicked out of the tribe. So if you have friends that aren't kicking you out of the tribe for anchoring them down, you need to find better friends.
So true. Haley, I think we should start a show inside of the RedX community with all 4 of us.
Okay, let's do it.
I felt like it was like a mini mastermind, guys. It was pretty good.
Stuff, good nuggets.
Yeah, very true. Very true. All right. Anything you guys want to add? We didn't even come close to covering the goals, but it was fun. And we talked about RedX. So I think we hit some points there. We can do like a part 3 to this.
I would say the only thing that I guess to add to that as well is I found it was a lot harder to do 25 deals than it was to do 50 deals. And the reason why is once you do 50 deals, you hire everybody to work on the back end. Yep. And all you're focused on is the front end. The rich work on the front end, the poor focus on the back end.
You're just full of quotes, aren't you, man?
I am.
I know.
I'm the Gandhi of real estate, so you're welcome. Kidding.
Joe, anything in closing, buddy?
Yeah, I think we talked a lot about a lot of great things when it came to goals. The one thing I would add, right, with that big issue that I brought up, where people can come up with the goals, but it's sticking to them, that's a problem. You mentioned joining the 7-Eleven. I appreciate the shout out. I would even take it to the next level, man. If you're not on a team, well, if you are on a team, you got a team leader. You're paying that sucker. They better be doing something for you. And accountability should absolutely be a big part of that. If you don't have a team leader because you're not on a team, you got a broker, right? If you don't have if you are the broker, you should have a coach. You should have a mentor. You should have somebody. Guys, there are people who will do this for free out of the goodness of their hearts, right? They're doing 50 to 100 deals. They want to see you succeed. They know how to succeed, and they have no problem telling you, this is really good. Quit doing this. And if you meet with those people every 2 weeks, every month, I don't know if I go further than a month. I think that's about as long as you want to go without really focusing on your goals. I think that's a huge key, is just nailing that down. And that's where I see a lot of people dropping the ball.
Dude, I think
Right.
that's really good. And I'm going to take that to another level on what you and Kent said. If you can find somebody at a high level to keep you accountable, you're going to have a higher chance of doing that if you let them know that it's only going to be a 3 to 5 minute call once a week.
That's great.
And at that point, they know you're going to come prepared, because there's no wasting time. And that's how you would get us on the phone. If you told me, hey, I just need 3 minutes, I'll set a timer, go. I'll be like, I'll help you. 3 minutes a week, done. So guys, thank you so much. And remember, this is sponsored by RedX. We put up the link there. Take a look at it. It's both inside of the webinar and on the Facebook community. Haley, thanks for hosting this with this cool RedX mic.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I love my job because I get to talk to people who are really successful at what they do and inspire me. And yeah, I just want to plug the special offer real quick. If you sign up through the link that we posted, or you just call us up and mention LabCoatAgents, you can waive your entire setup fee, which is about $150 in savings. So take it up.
I love that. I love that. And Kent, thanks for being on again. I feel like both you and Joe are like the regulars here. So let's keep that up. You guys rock.
Be here.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Good seeing you as always.
Yeah. And if you have referrals, remember, Joe, what area? All of Florida?
Florida, baby.
There you go. That's good. And then Kent, what part of Utah are you in?
Northern Utah. I'll go all of Northern.
You've got all of Northern, and Joe's got all of Florida. I think we got it covered.
That's good.
Thanks, guys. Thanks,
Thanks, everybody.